All right, what's up, guys? Lucky Seven back. Today we're going to do a little bit of a different video. This is going to kind of be part of our branding. This is what we do to save us money. We've looked into venturing out to other businesses, places online and so forth, to do our shirts, hats and so forth and stuff like that, as in screen printing. Effectively, we have a distributor that we get all of our shirts from. Can come in any variety of color or material. Same thing for hats, gaiters, just whatever it is that we're wanting. But basically, as you can see behind me, we do all the designing in-house. Everything that we do is all right here. And so basically, I design everything. I do everything for our branding and stuff. These are our new shirts that we are going to do. These are Irish green, just kind of a grass green color that we use. These are Gildan brand. These are really good, tough shirts. They're excellent. They're not too thick, but they're not too thin. So basically, after we design everything, pretty much we go from design into the transparency form, and then everything will pretty much get laid out on the shirt. This is just a preview of what we have. This will be on the back design. Of course, this is on the front of the hoodie, so don't get it misconstrued of that. But basically, you can see how we'll lay everything out. Everything will show all of our information, and this will be on the front. This is kind of a slogan from Bad Boys, since we do use the Bad Boys. They have, become one of our favorites. So basically, guys, just stay tuned, keep watching the clip. We're going to get some emulsion on the screens. We've got some drying right now. As you can see, some of this stuff into the shop. We do have our screen printing machine. This is an Amazon press. This is nothing fancy. This is just something to get our stuff done. These shirts are for out here getting rough and dirty, torn, whatever. So we're not really going to be super impressed on the press machine for this landscaping stuff. I mean, this can do 4 colors or 4 separate items, depending on how we want to do it. But as you'll see right down here, we've got the screen, the heat press. We've got that. We've got all of our emulsions and so forth and stuff like that. And then below, we've got some colors and stuff. But today we're going to do some colors from Total Ink Solutions. We're going to do a Irish green with the gold. So this is a bright gold, which is kind of a rustic gold. So therefore, as you can see, we've got other screens and stuff here that we do other catalog stuff that we have for our branding, family stuff, whatnot. And then of course down here in the rack, this is a homemade rack. We've got some screens that are drying currently, basic box fan. So guys, just stay tuned. Like I said, we're going to get started on this, get the emulsion in, and get these dried. We're going to get them imprinted, washed out, and y'all can see it in action of how we brand our own landscape and clothing, so that way everybody out here can see how budget friendly this is. I will give a price breakdown basically of what we spend in materials, what we have in material wise, branding and all that stuff, of what products that we use. I'll post all of those links down below in the description, so be sure to check those out. Like I said, you'll love this video. This is very explanatory. Be sure to give us a like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure you stay tuned with us. We've got several videos out, so you can check out our channel and stuff. More videos and stuff are getting posted daily, as we'll have this one plus some more that's coming up in the near few days. So just stay tuned, guys, and just keep watching. All right, guys, so before I get into this and I start putting emulsion on the screen, I'm going to kind of give you guys a breakdown of what we use that's budget friendly, super cheap. I get everything on Amazon. Like I said before, the screen press come from Amazon. It's like a $150 press. It's nothing fancy, but it'll get the job done. So basically, start off with this. This is Ecotec's brand. I'll put a link in the description. This is the Plastisol, which I use mostly. This is a screen press wash, so basically on the screens, once we get the ink and stuff on here, use this product to basically clean everything, and get everything where it needs to be back for another color change, or you're just putting up the screen for the night, or whatever the situation is. All of this, like I said, is Ecotec's. This is a Hyper Haze. This is a image remover. So basically, if you have a screen that is ghosting, you know, with the images in it after you run the screen with ink, basically this right here is the you know, the image that we wash out in the emulsion once it's burned into the screen and so forth. Like I said, the process of burning and all that stuff also depends on what lightings and settings and all that stuff that you use and whatever and whatnot. That takes some time to configure. So if y'all need any help with that, I can configure a breakdown for you guys, and that way you can kind of get a head start on that. But anyways, back to the Hyper Haze. This stuff is what they call for ghosting images. So basically, after you wash out all this blue stuff, which is the emulsion, you may have, as you can see in the print of this one, we have a screen that is somewhat you know, ghosting an image back in here, as you can see where it looks like some lines and stuff in here. Basically, the Hyper Haze will basically get that stuff out after you remove the emulsion. So really good product. I recommend it. Very cheap. Like I said, link will be below. For the emulsion that we use, which is this blue stuff, this is what you've got to have on the screen before you can burn anything. Now this stuff is light sensitive, so this stuff is already pre-mixed. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is open the can, stir it up, let all the bubbles arise, get everything that you need done with it. You know, putting it on however many screens you're going to do. Make sure that it is not a full lighted area like this. If you do it really quick, you can pretty well get by with it. But if you're in a very lighted area or a lot of sunlight coming in and stuff like that, I recommend having you a what they call a dark room, or having you a cut off area to where you're limited with light, just enough for you to be able to see. Usually you can go to Walmart or somewhere and get you a cheap light like you see here. These lights run like 10 bucks. We just got a yellow bug light in there that's a low UV, and that works great just for what we need to do. But anyways, this is AP Blue. This is pretty much a you know, good brand. This is also made by Ecotec's. Really good brand. I tried several to finally get to one that is really adaptive, you should say, to the climate control, anything like that. Easy to use, doesn't dry quick, isn't super sensitive to light, but it will harden on you very quickly. So the reason that I say super sensitive to light is because if you let too much light exposed to these, the UVs from fluorescent bulbs, sunlight, or anything like that will harden this stuff, and you cannot burn a image in it. So you pretty much have to wash everything out and start over. So on to the next product. We are to the Ecotec's brand emulsion remover. This stuff is some really good stuff, guys. This stuff right here, like if I were to go ahead and get ready to wash the screen out, you can spray this stuff on here, front and back of the screen that you have. These are 110 mesh here. This is just basic, you know, standard 110 mesh that you would use for general purpose. Now if you go up into fine detail images or bigger blocked images that take up more mass on the clothing, then you would want to go up higher in your mesh count. But anyways, back to the emulsion remover. This stuff right here is like 30 seconds and you're ready to wash out. You spray this stuff on, scrub it with a scrubber pad. Right here are some scrubber pads. You can pick these things up from anywhere. These are Scotch-Brite's brand. You can get these from Walmart, Lowe's, sometimes the dollar store. These are non-abrasive, you know, just like you would use to clean your pots and pans. I mean, that's all you need. Basically from there, you spray this stuff on, give it a good scrub, you know, not too abrasive because you don't want to mess up the mesh, but just a good pressurized scrub front and back. Take you a electronic pressure washer, or if you have a small pressure washer that doesn't put out a whole lot of input. We use one that is an electronic pressure washer. It only puts out like 1100 psi, which is plenty for washing these screens out. You can wash cars with them and whatnot, but it's perfect for stuff like this. But stay tuned, guys. Like I said, more into the next clip of this video and stuff, and we'll show you how to do the emulsion, get that on the screen, get it dried, and start burning into the screens, and you know, get it onto some shirts or whatever material that you're going to use. You can do a hat press, you can do shirt press, you can do, like I said, as we shown, you can do hoodies, you can do sweatpants, sweatshirts. You know, you're pretty much unlimited. You know, the press is what limits you from everything. This is just a basic press. Like I said, this does shirts, pants, whatever we want to do. But budget wise, it's effective. So just stay tuned, guys, for the next clip, and we'll get into it. All right, guys, so here we're going to open this. Like I said, I just use a fancy shop screwdriver. We're going to open this. As you can see, this stuff kind of settles as it is. These are cheap, effective knives. These are like cake batter knives. You can get these just about anywhere. Dollar stores like a couple bucks a piece. Walmart's a couple bucks a piece. I know you can get them on Amazon. You can get some fancier ones, some longer ones. As you can see right here, we've got some straight ones. So what I usually do is for my smaller stuff, or if I'm using smaller ink amounts and whatnot, I'm going to use the smaller ones just for a smaller mess. Bigger ones, usually if I'm stirring up a lot of my paints and stuff and so forth, I'm going to use a bigger one just because it's a little stiffer, a little bit more sturdier, and so forth from there. So what I'm going to do is I usually take one of these, and I'm going to, this stuff has been sitting for a couple of weeks, so we're going to stir this stuff up. As you can see, it's going to get this stuff nice and work back together. Like I said, this stuff is already pre-mixed, so don't think that you've got to get back in here and mix this stuff up every time. You're just basically wanting to get it out of that settlement mode. So you just want to get everything done, and as you can see, this stuff is nice and creamy, just like some gravy in a jar. So you basically just want to do this. As you can see in here, you're starting to get some bubbles and stuff in here that allows basically the air to escape from the emulsion. Once you allow that to set for a few minutes, you want to get those bubbles out, so that way when you're pouring it into the scoop, that's the primary thing, is when you're pouring it into the scoop, you don't want any bubbles, because if you have bubbles in it and it's consistent throughout the emulsion and you go to put that on the screen, then you're going to have an issue with it on the screen and coating it well, and you're not going to have a nice even flow. So usually I'll let that sit for 3 to 5 minutes while I'm getting my screens and ready and prepped and everything and ready to go. So then that way everything from there is pretty much you know, good to go. Put the emulsion on there, we put them back into the drying rack, we let those dry to where they're just past not sticky. So once they get to that point to where the films won't stick to them and all that stuff, and therefore we can pretty much go forward with the process.
Okay.
All right, guys, so this stuff is set for long enough. We're going to pour it in our scoop. This scoop is a Amazon scoop. This is a 16-inch. I mark everything of what size I'm going to use and everything. Depending on what screen size you have, like I said, this fits very well into the screen, so then that way I can get this put on here and I don't have to you don't have to get all the way to the edges. This stuff can have a little bit of a leeway on the edge, because you can just use some masking tape or screen printing tape, whichever one you prefer, to get this stuff taped off. So we're going to set this down here. We're going to pour our emulsion in here. We're going to coat 2 screens. So 2 screens, guys. We want to fill this at least at a minimum of halfway into the scoop. That way that we get 4 good coats on each side of the screen. So as we're going to pour this, we're going to pour this in here. I'm going to lay this in here. Let this stuff settle really good. So at that point, we're at the halfway mark of the scoop. So we're going to clean this up, get this stuff scraped back off in here. Put the lid back on here just temporarily, just so no bugs or anything, because we are out in the shop. You can do this in a closed off, air conditioned place, whichever you want to do. Either way is fine. So now that we have the emulsion in here, we're half filled. So at this point, we're going to get the screens out of the racks. So we're going to do one at a time. So we're going to You can use a fancy thing or whatever, but I'm going to use one of the shop chairs that we use to work on our mowers or anything else that we got in the shop. So from here, we're going to pull one of the screens. As you can see earlier, as I had said, I don't know if you can see this in the video, but you see how you have a little bit of a ghosting from another print that we had done. This is from the ink that I had stated in there. This stuff will come out with the Hyper Haze. We'll do another video on that so I can show y'all actually how to properly clean the screens, and then everything will be back to this type status to where you're 100% clear. But we use these pretty often. This is not going to affect the image that we're going to use, as in putting another image on here to screen print for our brand, but we're just going to do it like this. So always, what I always tell people is when you're going to start on coating the screens, start on the front first, coat the front, flip it over, coat the back. Reason being is because when you put this stuff in here, you want all the emulsion to go to the facing of the screen. So that way this is your thickest point. So if you got this at the thickest point, when you're raking paint up here in the top part of the screen, therefore you're going to be able to have your thickest part between the screen and the material that you're using. Shirt, sweatpants, hoodie, whatever material that you're printing on, yard signs and stuff like that. We'll do videos and stuff to do all that later on. But just tag along, watch, and you'll see how we coat these things. And we'll get them back into the rack, get them drying. We usually let these sit depending on humidity levels, heat levels. We're out in the shop right now. The shop is open. As you can see, I'm sweating. You know, we're still 70 to 80 degrees at night. So, you know, like I said, so stay tuned. Let's get these things coated. All right, so as you seen earlier, we coated these. As you can see, the emulsion is pretty loose in here. All right, so folks, what we're going to do is, like I said, always start on the facing of the screen. Angle this at about a 25 to 30 degree angle. You're going to start at the bottom of the screen. Going to come down here. We're going to make contact with the screen wherever we're going to start. So you don't have to be all the way at the bottom. You can come up a couple inches, whatever you like to do. You're going to angle this toward the screen. Get the emulsion up there. Create you a bubbled line. You're going to slowly rake. Keep it in that slight angle. You're going to come up, and as you come to the top, we are going to let the emulsion sit, and we're going to scrape off. All right, so there's one coat on one side. For this, we're not doing it on a thick material, so therefore we're going to do one coat on each side. Typically, you can do that, and then you can come back and do another coat, and then you're going to come on the inside, and you're going to do the same thing. Try to stay within the same track of where you're at. You can see how the emulsion stops over here, and the emulsion stops over here. So try to stay in the same track, because when you coat this thing, you want it to somewhat be in that same track. So we're going to come on this side. We're going to take our time. We're going to keep the screen in the right angle. We're going to come up, keep coming, and then we're going to get it up to the top, scrape off. That screen's ready to go. So therefore, this screen is fully coated. As you can see on top of here, this thing is like a sheet of glass, okay? That's what you want to look for, guys. You want to do this in a sheet of glass, all right? Doesn't matter if you're a little heavy on the edges and stuff like this, like you see here. This stuff is absolutely fine. All right, so we're going to put this stuff facing down, because as I said a minute ago, we want the emulsion to go to the facing side, just like here, what is ever going down to the garment. So we're going to put it back in the rack, just like this, all right? So we're going to move all this stuff out of the way. We're going to put this back in the rack, same slot that we had it, but upside down. All right, we're going to put it back in here in our makeshift rack. We're going to slowly pull out this other one. We're going to make sure that we are clean of debris, which I've already washed these and everything. This is another screen, as you can see, the ghosting in here from another format that we had on some of our other shirts. Again, Hyper Haze will get this stuff out, so don't be alarmed with that. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to get our scoop. We're going to start right down here wherever we're going to have our starting point. we're going to angle the scoop, get it flat on there, get your emulsion right up where it needs to be. Take your time coming up so that way you get enough coating. We're going to come up to the top, slightly angle back, and we're just going to scrape off. Same thing on the other side. This isn't a very thick garment that we're doing, so we're going to get our scoop up here, let our emulsion contact with the screen, and we're going to come up. And as long as you're hearing that sound of the screen, then you're fine. Come up to the top, angle back, scrape off. All right, from that point, you're done with what emulsion's in there. Like I said before on the other one, see how I stopped right here? This line is from this side, that line is from the other side. That's okay because you can tape that off, because most of the time your image is going to be right in here. You're not going to be using it all the way up to the border because you're going to have room to tape this stuff off. So you want to look across it, make sure you're a good sheet of glass that way, make sure you're a good sheet of glass this way. Everything is cohesive and where it needs to be. You're going to do the same thing with this one. You're going to put it back in the rack upside down. You're going to put this thing in the rack in here. You're going to just take your time, get this set in here where you need to be. All right, we're going to cover this up to where no light can get to it as much as possible while we're letting these things dry. Like I said, typical box fan, you can get these at Lowe's, Amazon, Walmart, wherever. We're going to take this, put this up here, we're going to turn this on high. As I said earlier, the heat and humidity is what's going to play the factor. If you have it pretty warm, it's going to dry pretty quick. So as soon as these dry to where they're at a non-tacky surface, to where we can actually lay a handprint on them and be able to do what we need to do, then at that point we can take our films, be able to get mocked up on the screens, get them taped to the screens and burned into the screen as the process goes. And then once we do all that process and get everything prepped and ready, then finally we can get it on the garment. So stay tuned, guys. Just keep watching the clip and we'll get into this. All right, guys, so here you're going to basically take what was in your scoop, you're going to scrape back into the emulsion container of what you have. These are black for a reason, to keep light out of them. So scrape what you have back in here, get it as clean as you possibly can. You know, just pop these tops back on and put this stuff on the shelf. As you can see right here, this is a Lowe's kitchen rack that we use. I'll show you more of that in the light of what you could see earlier in the clip. But basically you want to get as much emulsion as you can out. As soon as you get this stuff out, guys, you need to get this thing washed. As soon as you get this thing washed, you can just wash this with some warm or cold soapy water, whichever way works. Either way will be fine. So we're going to get this cleaned. I'm not going to video that, that's self-explanatory. But as soon as I get this clean, the screens get dried, we're going to set up, mock everything, go in to the other dark room, which you won't be able to see. So I can post a video of kind of how that's performed and stuff at a later date. But basically, whatever kind of light platform that you use, whether it is a press machine that is vacuum styled, or we use a generic Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, halogen 500 watt shop light. Very effective. You keep it about 16 inches above the screen, burns. Like I said earlier in the video, as you're going to do that, you're going to have to set it up to whatever you have it. If you have it closer, of course your time frame is going to be less. If you have it further away, your time frame is going to be a lot longer. I have templates and stuff that I use. You can download them for free on other websites and stuff like that, but that way it will get you a setting to where you do. There's a step in demand of what you do in burning the process to kind of see what emulsion that you're using and stuff like that. So like I said, if y'all are interested in that, I can make a new video on that and just kind of step y'all through the roles for that. So if y'all can give some likes and subscribes, alert bells, share us, let other people know that, you know, as a business, you can do a lot of stuff on your own, guys. You know, we do this stuff, yes, we spend the money to buy the product and stuff, but in the long run, efficient wise, it keeps us where we need to be, as in budget products and stuff like that for our own clothing, branding stuff. I mean, because we get out here, we tear these clothes up, We get them nasty and dirty, use them for grease rags eventually and stuff like that. So you don't want to be spending 30-40 bucks on a shirt for a huge company out here to do that. Now if you're doing something that is, you know, a sale market, stuff like that, that you want in way color, more contrast, you know, and stuff like that, then do so. Spend the money and stuff like that. But on the other hand, guys, girls, you've got to have the market out there to do that stuff. This stuff right here, like I said, simple, easy setup, you know, in the shop. This is where we work on everything. Like I said, I do a lot of airbrushing and so forth and stuff like that. Like I said, on the computer, I do all the designing. I do all of our YouTube videos. I do all of our editing, the recording. Mary does the recording. Our oldest daughter does some of the recording. Our other oldest daughter does some of the recording. So it just really depends, guys, of where you want to be and how far you want to go. So like I said, more into the clip. We'll get into that. I'm gonna go get this cleaned, as I said a minute ago, and get these screens ready for prep, mock-up. Y'all see how it's done. See you in a minute. All right, guys, so back for another round of this. We didn't get to finish up last night, but we're back here tonight. We're gonna show y'all how I set up the templates and stuff. Like I said, this is something that's just, you know, watered down. I'm not gonna really fully step with everything. Generally, this is what we're gonna do. So this is our, you know, base of where our shirts and everything are gonna be laid. As you can see, we've got plenty of material here, glue, whatnot. But this is the first steps. So initially, you're going to take just some regular office tape, regular dollar store Scotch tape, nothing fancy. So this stuff right here, I'm gonna just tear off the old tab that we're not gonna use. This stuff right here, it's clear. When you burn the images, it's not going to affect it. So I've already got this laid out here. I've got lines and stuff on here, which we can step through that at a later date, but this is just basically a rundown. So we're going to actually put the tape on the back side of the print, and then we are going to get this done here. Then the way that we lay this stuff out is we got tape on each corner of the print. Okay, you may or may not get to see that just due to the low UV light. It's not super bright. So I've already got this locked in. Initially, you're going to set this down, get it centered where it needs to be, and get it where you want it. So this has a lock, so once it falls down in here, it'll go in here. We're going to go down just like we would be pressing the image, and we're going to come down, and we're going to make this 100% flat. We're going to just make contact with that tape, just like this, and you see the image right below. This is basically what you're going to see once we burn this and blow it out. All right, so we're going to raise this back up. The image is on here. So once we're here, we're actually going to take this, loosen these up. Slowly raise this back up. We're going to flip the screen over. We're going to go back again. We're going to make sure that this is all flat. We're going to take our Scotch tape, and we are just going to make sure that we are good and flat, because once we put the glass and stuff on this, this will transition into, this will make some heat, and this could make this kind of wrinkle and stuff, but the glass is what keeps everything flat and keeps the heat and stuff going through the actual image, because the black is actually what will be shadowed. So everything else around the black lettering, all in here and everything, doesn't matter about the film, all that stuff will actually harden, so therefore this will be easy to wash out. So we'll get this one done, and then I'll step you through on the next one of how to set this up. Generally, we're going to take this, we're going to transport this into a black bag. So therefore, with this black bag, we are going to take this into another room. So any kind of daylight or anything like that, we do not want it to hit it. So we're going to put this in the black bag, set this one to the side. That one's ready to go. Then we're going to take our other screen, get it ready for prep. All right, we're going to get this set up in here. We're going to get it laid down into the press. We'll make sure that we're centered on the press as much as possible. The other thing that you can do is you can move a little bit here if you burn the image and it's not exactly where you want it to be, but that's why I have guidelines in the mock-up area. But usually I just kind of take my fingers, center this about the same on each side, get it where I want it to be. Now this is locked in. All right, we're going to lock these up, get those good and tight. And as you can see, we want a little bit of clearance. I've got this set up to where, like when we have a hoodie or something in here, we've got enough clearance to where the screen can actually leave contact of the fabric that we're using. Because naturally, once we come in, we're going to press down, force our ink through, and so forth and whatnot. But you'll see that here in just a second. So now we're going to do the same thing with this one. All right. So we're going to start at the top. You can see the lines. Got one line coming across here. We're just going to do some simple. We're going to get about center. All right, so we're about 4 1/8 on that side, and we are about 4 there. So we need a 1/16 of a difference. So we're going to scoot this over just a hair. Make sure that our circle is making contact here. Make sure that we are good and fully square with our line. And then we're just going to basically remeasure. All right, we're right at 4 there. We're right at 4 there. So that is about as center as it's going to get. Now we have our other piece. I've already cut the edges off. As you can see right here, this was a little bit extra on here. I've got a paper cut machine. We just cut off the extra. So therefore, this right here, we're just going to line up. This image is going to stay the same. So we're just going to line this one up as best we can. Like I said, guys, this is all at home. This is nothing crazy. But we're going to have it just like that. So now that we've got these two laid together, what we're going to do to make sure that this stuff doesn't move is we're going to take our nice little masking tape and we're just going to lock these together. The printer I have currently printing these on doesn't print a full 14 to 16 inch piece right now. So I have to make it into 2 pieces, but it works. So just bear with me here. Let me get these seams and stuff taped up. And now we're all one piece. So if anything moves, everything's going to move together. All right. So now that we're pretty well centered, we're going to lay our screen down and kind of get a casting view of kind of where we're at. So we are looking pretty good there. And as you can see, we are a little lower than normal just because of where the line and stuff is. So I think what we're going to do is move this up. So from this point, we're going to leave our screen where it's at. We're going to take this and we're going to move this up about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. All right, so we're going to loosen everything. We're going to get this up to where we are about center of our piece. I go off of this, off our logo and stuff at the top of the spade here. We're going to make sure that we're as center as possible. All right, so from the center point of the spade to the outside, we're looking at 4 inches there, 4 inches there. So everything is pretty well straight because we've taped everything together. So now that's about where we want it. We're going to take our tape, get it on the back sides of the image, and the same thing that we did before. We're just going to put some pieces of tape on the back side of this. Like I said, try not to move your image. Just get the tape on the back side enough to where it will cling to the screen. We're going to set the screen down, kind of get a peripheral view. So now we're up a little more off the bottom because all of this stuff around the edges have to be taped. So everything around here all have to be taped. And as you can see, kind of in the foreground here, the image and stuff is right here about where we want it. So this will be either chest plate or it can be center of the shoulder blades and whatnot and stuff. So it'll be the whole full length of the shirt. So we're going to come in, we're going to lightly press this down, hold this down, make sure our tape has good contact, and voila. screen is attached to the template, so therefore we're going to make sure that it's like it needs to be. We're going to loosen this up just like we did a minute ago on the other screen. All right, and we're going to slightly raise that up. We're going to flip our screen over. Make sure that everything is good and flat. Make sure there's no wrinkles, nothing prohibiting anything. And then we are going to tape this off. Now this one, traditionally, since it's two pieces here taped together, we're going to tape off the corners. On the corners, and then we're also going to put a couple strips right here. Now, guys, girls, whoever's doing this, you know, we just want to take this off, just like I said a minute ago, once we put the glass on here, just to make sure that we are not having any bubbling issues or anything like that with the film. The glass will hold everything down, but this stuff with the halogen light that we use does get really, really hot. So naturally, once this is burned, as you can see, something I haven't mentioned is it's in reverse. So therefore, this being in reverse, once it burns, as it gets laid down on the shirt, this is what you see. As you can see through the light, that's what you're going to see burn through the image. All of this is going to be cleared mesh, where all this lighting, this wording and everything is, and everything, the paint will allow to come through here. So therefore, everything will turn out like it needs to be. Always has to go on the back side. So we're going to put this in the bag. We're going to jump to the next clip here and show you how we burn these, put the glass on here, and get it washed out, and then get on to some screen printing. Alright guys, so back to this. I've already burned these, washed these out, like I said. You know, you've seen that in the images. So once everything is washed out, this is kind of what you're left with. So this, as you see on the back side, this is going to be down toward the garment, so it's going to be in reverse. This is what you're going to see on the front side. So after everything is washed out from the emulsion, everything is burned into the screen. As you can see, the ghosting of the images in here are from a recent design that we had did. So don't be alarmed by that. Paint will still go through that. All it is basically a stain from the past paint that you used. But like I said, the Hyper Haze will get that stuff out. You're going to do the emulsion cleaner, then the Hyper Haze, you know, and then degrease and stuff and whatnot after that, and then everything will come out. So, but anyways, as you can see, a lot of this stuff, you know, here pinpointed into the backdrop of the view here. Let's see if I can get this a little closer, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. You might can see all those are parts of the design, so don't think that it was something that didn't get washed out. Okay, so we're going to put this back in here into the press, and then we're going to get this thing lined up. So this will go right back in here, get it lined up and all that. First off, before we get to doing that, we have got to get this thing taped up. All these edges that you do not want paint to come down through does have to be taped off. So therefore, if my press will stop spinning here, we're going to take some Dollar General masking tape, and we're going to take this thing off. Okay, you can go and buy the expensive tapes, you can do crazy stuff, you know, whatever you want to do, but in the sense of all that, you know, go get you some dollar tape. I mean, it doesn't take nothing crazy. All we're doing is masking this off just like you would paint anything else. Of course, like I said, the cheaper tape you go with, the more finicky it is, you know, but you take your time with it, it'll do you just fine. So we're going to get this on here. We're going to take this off. We're going to go all the way around, all around our edges and everything, to where the emulsion is not cast on here, so that way everything is good and dry from the paints. So therefore, I'm going to go through, take this off. Alright. And we're going to do this basically You can do this on both sides if you like. I generally do just to prevent any paint going in the areas to where the tape is not at. But alright guys, so this is about it for this side. Basically, you're just going to tape it off like this, get all of your lines. See how we've got a line right here, we got like a little bit of a drip mark stuff right here. We're going to just tape those off on the bottom side, just so that way no paint or anything. Let me lock this in so this will quit spinning. So this way no paint will get through any of these lines and mess up the garment other than where we want it to go. Alright, so you're just going to take your tape, and we see an imperfection here. We're going to take that off, and then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take this line. Now this line right here is from our glass, as you can see on the image prior. That glass from the reflection is going to create a shadow, so therefore it's going to create a mark to where it could be burned out. We do have a little bit of one right here that we've got to cover, and a slight one right here. So we're just going to run another piece of tape down this. As you can see, we've still got all of our image right here. Nothing will be affected when we go to painting or printing onto the shirt. Alright, so this side is pretty well done. We're going to flip on the inside, and we're going to just do this times 2. We're going to go back over this. We're going to come in here. We're going to double the tape down. We're going to not double the tape, but we're going to corner seam this tape, if this tape will work with me here. And folks, this doesn't have to be nothing perfect. You're just taping off these edges just so that you can peel this stuff up, you know, do your bench cleaning and whatnot, whatever you need to do. We're just going to lay this right down in here. And like I said, this will pretty much prevent any paint, you know, from getting into the screen to where we don't want it to. So just easier cleanup, easier mess. We're not going to worry about this line because therefore tape is going to pick that up, so you don't necessarily have to do that. Like I said, this is just a pretty generic move. I'm just going to lay this tape down in here right next to the edge. And we're just going to keep repeating that until we get everything fully taped in and dialed in. Same thing up top. You're going to take this off, and all of that is good to go now. So now we have everything taped off. We're ready to go on this part. As you can see, it doesn't have to be anything perfect, guys. Like, you know, we're just screen printing. Like I said, I could put a piece of tape over this, cover this up, which I may go ahead and do, just so I don't have any issues cleaning out or anything like that, so it doesn't smear or cause any imperfections on any of the garment. But as you can see, all this right here is open. This is ready for some paint to go through, so let's put a piece of tape on this. We'll be ready to go. Alright guys, so we got the other piece of tape on here. Good to go. All this, like I said, this is on the back side. I don't think any paint will go through this, so we should be okay. Everything's pretty well done. Next up is the squeegees. You do want a squeegee that's big enough to cover your image. As you can see, this is big enough, so when I start raking paint or pulling paint, however you want to do this, you can rake or pull, whatever's your preference, but you just want the squeegee big enough so that way when you're swiping the paint, you want it to cover the image. We'll show you that here in just a minute. So therefore, right now we're going to get this locked back in, and we're going to pretty well center this up. We've got our lines to go by. We can see everything now, now that this is opened up. So we're going to settle this where it needs to go, and we're going to lock it in place. Alright, that's pretty much it. As you can see right here, we have it locked in, ready to go. as this comes down, locks, we're going to be ready to print. So we're going to put our paint on the bottom side, as I'll show you this here in a second. From there, we'll start printing. Alright guys, so we're just going to take our screwdriver. I'm going to pop the top on this. They do make a certain tool to get these tops off, but I'm not going to spend the 10 bucks to do that when I got a simple flathead screwdriver. All I do is just put this in here. We're going to twist. Pop this open. Paint's in here. Now after this stuff is in here for a while, you do have to stir and get it to where it is unsettled. Okay, so this is a color that I've used recently, but it's been just a little while, so we're just going to stir this up, get everything back where it needs to be, just like some cake batter. Just want to get this stuff mixed right up really good, just get the consistency all the same. Just to where it's just the right peanut butter consistency cream. That's about where you want to be. You don't want to be nothing crazier, nothing thicker, nothing thinner. You want this stuff to be able to flow really good through the screen. Like I said, we are using a 110 mesh, so this is a bigger mesh count, so therefore it does let this thicker paint go through, making this a little easier for everybody. So all you want, guys, just the consistency like this. You just want it to where, you know, this stuff is like, you know, basically like a clay paint. Alright, so we're going to set this to the side over here. Too many projects. Alright, so now we're going to grab a hold of this. We're going to set our screen down here. Alright, and with our screen down here, we're going to preload the screen. So what I normally do is I'm going to set my jar on here. I'm going to grab this paint on the back side, and we're going to push this across. Right. We do want enough paint on here to be able to cover, because we are putting this on several garments. Okay, so you do want enough. Don't worry about getting too much on here. Like I said, folks, this is all about consistency. So you don't want to not have enough, because you get too thinned out. Like I said, this paint does go a long way. This is Total Ink Solutions that we use for all of this. Really good product, really good price. You know, like I said, all this stuff just clean off the blade. We've got about ½ an inch or so thick of paint there. Like I said, it will use up quite a bit pretty quick. Like I said, you just want to make sure that you go past your actual design, so then that way you know that you have enough. Alright, I think we're about right there where we need to be. Alright, just clean this knife off, get this back down in here. Alright, then we are going to temporarily pop our top on, just to keep any kind of bugs, flies, whatever out. I'm just going to set that tool right back up there. We're going to load a garment up so you guys can see how this is done. Alright guys, we've got a old test garment here. This is like a bleach out shirt that we had done just as a test and stuff, so that way we can get some different color effects and stuff like that. As you can see, I've already got this stuff set up. The paint, as I showed you a second ago, this is here. Our squeegee's already here. We'll show you that doing the process. Now we usually use a test garment. We have testing pieces that we usually use, but I'm out of those right now, so we're just going to use an OT shirt that we just wasted. Whatever, I mean, just an OT shirt that you may have, piece of fabric, whatever, but you want it to be the same consistency of what you're printing on. Usually the samples that we use, then that way they're perfectly square of the bench here, so then that for on the press they work just like a garment. So we're going to raise this up. Alright, and then I usually use some Elmer's Craft Bond. Basically this stuff is going to pretty much set up a tack for on here, and then that way everything can get tacked on. So here we go. All right, so here we go, guys. We're going to use the Craft Bond. We're going to lightly take on here, and we're just going to put a good casting on here. Just something for natural thing. Now this shirt naturally has a pocket, so we can use that. We can transition or whatever, but we're just going to use the back side just to get a good base lay down. So then that way, everything can kind of come on here, go where it needs to be. Shirt fully on here. Like I said, folks, you can mingle with these. Usually I'll take this and put the seams of the branding of the shirt or whatever right here on the press side, get this to where I want it to be. We're going to put this in here. Now this is at room temperature. This is nothing fancy. Like I said, you just want it to have a nice clean to where you're at. All right, so we're going to bring the press down, keep my hands under here. We're going to get the squeegee covered in paint, and we're going to fill in the image just like that. All right, guys, so we're just going to fill this in really good. This is, like I said, some really good paint. You can see we got it on the squeegee. So now we're going to go down and we're going to get this onto the garment and see where we're at. All right, so this is going to be just one pass of the ink. We're just going to clear the screen. All right, we'll set our piece up there. We are going to raise up. So therefore, as you can see right here on here, get the camera here, as you can see some of the imperfections. Like I said, you can make this how you want this. If you want it to be like this, somewhat give it that rustic look, after a couple passes this will be fine. So we're going to lay this back down. We're going to flow back onto this one more time, and then therefore this should fill this in pretty well. So get this back down. We're going to flood the screen again. All right, I'm going to flood it with some good paint, get it down into that mess, because that's the main goal of setting up and doing the temporary passes. All right, push that paint through there, get it through the garment. All right, boom, voila, look at that. That's exactly what you want it to turn out to be. All right, you want it to be just like that. All right, I'll give you an overview. That's exactly what it's going to look like on our shirts. Now that we've got the screen filled, as you can see, the screen's got all the nice necessary ink in here. So therefore, we're going to start printing.
Train going around.
All right, we got the heat press on, guys. This thing is heating up. As you can see, we're at about 100 degrees right now. Got the timer set to 15 seconds. So initially when we take this and we press this down onto the shirt, therefore this is the easiest, most effective way to be able to do this, you know, in your own shop and stuff like that. Don't do it any more than 10-15 seconds at most, because therefore it will scorch the ink on the shirt. So we're going to let this lay right here and somewhat air dry, and then we're going to put it onto the press, do that, and then we'll show you the steps. And then therefore, like I said, once this comes out, this will be ready to go. All right, guys, so now we're going to go from the press over to the heat press. All right, heat press is already heated up. This is up to 280 degrees. Okay, normally 10 to 15 seconds max through a normal cotton shirt like this and stuff like that. Now if you're doing something like a hoodie style or something like that, it's a little bit thicker garment, you can go up to about 25 seconds maximum. Usually if you're doing 10-12 seconds on a t-shirt, just have it in your mind set to where, you know, you can put a variance of there. I would go up to like probably no more than 20 seconds on that, because you're not going to put any more ink onto a heavier fabric or anything like that. So therefore we're going to just take this off. We're going to pull this straight off of the press. All right, as you can see, we've got our image up here that's on the shirt. Okay, like I said, this is a test shirt, so we're going to take this, we're going to lay this on here. Be sure don't touch anything on the heat press. Don't let any of this stuff fold over on you. Okay, so we're going to take this, lay this in here. So this press does allow the table to be able to be moved. So therefore, we're going to get this up here. Naturally, what we don't want is this shirt ring getting caught into the press part. So we're going to bring up the collar, to where we're a little higher than normal. Okay, and then we're going to lay this in here. All right, like I said, don't let anything touch. Like I said, this is the back of the shirt, so therefore it is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Okay, we're going to get this up here, get this where it needs to be. We do have a pocket right here. That's going to be one of the other things. Like I said, normally on a normal garment we don't have those issues, but we're going to take this, we're going to take our heat transfer paper. All right, this comes with the machine. We're going to set this in here, lay this down on here nice and flat. Try not to slosh this around. We're going to now push this in. We're going to press this. All right, so the way that this press works is we're going to come down. We're going to hit the timer. As you can see up here on the top, timer's going to count down 12 seconds. As this thing counts down 12 seconds, buzzer will go off. All right, buzzer went off. Going to turn the buzzer off. We're going to let it sit for 1, 2, 3 more seconds. We're going to raise this up. All right, folks, and then we're going to take the transfer paper off, and boom, there you have a perfectly heated shirt. This thing can cool off. All right, so we can pull this off of here. All right. So as you can see, nothing's sticking. All right. So this one can cool off. That's what you're going to look like as an after effect. So now you get to see it actually on our shirt. So like I said, this can cool off. You can wash this thing. You can do whatever you want to. Ready to wear. All right, guys. So on this one, we're going to show you live action of how fast this takes place. All right. So we're going to cast onto our press just enough to give us enough of a stick. All right. So we're going to put this design on the front of the shirts. These are a Gildan cotton tee. All right, you can see there's some marks and stuff on there, grease marks, whatnot, whatever. We're going to get this set where we want it. All right, make sure that we're pretty well even of where we need to be. All right, and then we're going to line this out, and we're going to press on. All right, so we've already got the screen flooded as we've been letting this sit. Always keep this flooded when you're not using it, so that way that your ink does not dry in your image. Okay, so from this point, we're going to come down and we're just going to clean the garment. We've already got ink in here just like we need it. As you can see, this has a little bit of an imperfection, so we're going to go back on here. We're going to flood the screen again. All right, so once we flood this screen, we're going to come back in and make another pass. Okay, so you can see this ink is getting a little looser, which is fine. Got the screen cleared. All right, that's what you have. That one's ready to go. As you can see, we're going to come from here. We're going to pull it right off the press. We're going to go right into the heat press. All right, and as we come into the heat press, we're going to get all the collar and everything passed. We're going to get this set on here, and then we're going to put our filament paper in here. As I said before, we're just going to set this on here. I'll slide this in. We're going to press this timer. You can see the timer's counting down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Buzzer. So you're going 1, 2, 3. Turn your buzzer off. Boom. Ready to go. We're going to peel this out of here. You want to peel this nice and slow because it is hot. All right. Boom. That's what you have right there. Looks like perfection to me. See all of your nice little detail marks. You can touch this. It's ready to go. All right, on to the next one, guys. All right, so we're just going to get these finished up. We're going to show y'all the back here shortly and stuff of how we get those on there. Same process, but you'll see those. Stay tuned. All right, guys, that's it for these. We've got this press done. we're going to clean up this screen, get everything where it needs to be. All this paint is going to go back into the original paint tub. We're going to use this for the next screen that we have down here for the back sides. Alright guys, so in the video, as you can see, we had to use multiple video clips and stuff, you know, just doing busy schedule between the kids, the business and all that stuff, just having to you know, get it in a few clips and stuff for you guys, so that way you can kind of see a gist of what you can do to save a little money for whatever business that you have. You can use it for landscaping, other business stuff, you know, fundraisers, whatever. If y'all need anything from us, if y'all are interested in us doing some shirts or branding for you guys, hit us up below. Our email is luck7services@gmail.com. You can message us on our website, lucky7landscaping.com. Also, you can message us through social media. You can message us through the website. Multiple different ways to get a hold of us, guys. Phone number is directly to me. Our business phone number, 615-580-4333. Like I said, feel free to reach out if you have any questions or anything. We can do several different formats, so it's not just only the simplicity forms of ways that you've seen in the videos, but that is just a simple thing for us. You know, we got some cheap shirts through a distributor that we go through, and then, you know, once we go through the distributor, our shirts are here. You know, you tear up shirts and stuff out in the field and everything, so that just helps us budget wise, besides spending $25 a shirt to get designed or anything like that. Or most places now make you do so many shirts at a time, and you're normally paying, you know, $10-15 or more a shirt for single color and stuff like that. We can do a better deal than that, you know, because I get fairly good discounts on the inks and stuff like that. We have a variety of colors, and if it's a color that we don't have, then we can definitely get it. So next video, stay tuned. If you're still here with us, we are going to do a video on, it will be screen printing, but we are going to do a video on corrugated signs, so we can do this for yard signs and stuff like that. I know a lot of people doesn't like doing these or anything like that, but in the long run, you know, we went to a local sign shop that offered us to do that stuff. Now this stuff, guys, this is just one from our local Lowe's. It's like, I don't know, I think I paid like $3 or $4 or something for it. It comes with a stand, as you can see right here. What we thought about doing is maybe making 2 signs out of this, you know, 2 little 10 by 12s or something like that, to be able to benefit. So, I mean, $3 or $4, you get 2 signs. Do a little hard work at home, do the screen printing stuff yourself. Whatever we have in the screens, you know, I can downsize and template for that. So all the ultimatums are there and stuff, so that way we can make things work. But long story short, before we get too much further into the video, I know that this video has been a little over an hour long, but wanted to touch base with you guys, so stay tuned for the next video. We're going to do some clips on sign videos. So we're going to do 2 different ways. So we're going to do a screen printed sign, and then we're going to do a sticker printed sign. So a couple different ways that we can do that. But folks, just stay tuned, check us out, like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications and stuff for our new videos and stuff that are coming out. We've posted several here lately, just due to being behind and stuff like that with business and everything, trying to get caught up, so I haven't been able to get everything up on YouTube. But we'll see you guys on the next video.